Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Court of Appeal dismisses PDP suit seeking the disqualification of Tinubu Shettima. All Progressive Congress has accused PDP of rigging the Kaduna State governorship poll. On the foreign scene, large asteroid to safely zoom between Earth and the Moon later today. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Tunde Idowu. We begin with legal matters. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja yesterday evening dismissed an appeal by the People's Democratic Party seeking the disqualification of the presidential candidates of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, and his vice, Kashim Shettima, in the February 25th election. A three-member panel headed by Justice James Abundaga in a unanimous judgment held that the PDP failed to establish that it had local standing to institute the case. The PDP, in an appeal, prayed the appellate court to reverse the January 13 judgment delivered by Justice Iyan Ekwo of a Federal High Court, Abuja, which dismissed its suit on the ground that the PDP lacked local standing to have instituted the suit. While the PDP was the commission, APC, Tinubu, and Shettima were respondents in the appeal. And here in Osun State, 56 days after the Osun governorship election petition tribunal sitting in Osogbo sacked Governor Ademola Adeleke as duly elected governor, the appeal court sitting in Abuja has reversed that judgment, affirming that Governor Adeleke as winner of the July 16, 2022 election. This comes after Governor Adeleke filed a 31-ground appeal on the 9th of February, praying the appellate court to set aside the ruling of the lower court and declare him winner of last year's election. This report by Emmanuel Ujwadugele details yesterday's ruling of the appellate court.
The Osun Governorship Petition Tribunal had on January 27, 2023 obtained Governor Ademola Adeleke's victory and affirmed Gboyega Oyetola of the All Progressives Congress as the authentic winner of the poll. In its majority verdict, the Justice Tetsi Kume-led tribunal voided Governor Adeleke's victory and declared Mr. Oyetola the winner of the poll, premising its decision on grounds of overvoting and electoral infractions. However, a minority judgment by Justice B. Ogbuli affirmed Governor Adeleke as winner of that poll, and displeased by this ruling of the tribunal, Governor Adeleke and his party, the People's Democratic Party (PDP), headed for the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja heard the appeal on March 13th and reserved its judgment, but it has now set aside the tribunal judgment. The appellate court, in a unanimous decision by a three-member panel of justices led by Justice Mohammed Shuaibu, held that the appeal lodged by Governor Adeleke to challenge his sack by the petition tribunal was meritorious and allowed to stand. During the ruling, the justices resolved that the preponderance of proof that there was overvoting in the elections rested on the petitioner. On the first issue as to the validity of the lead judgment co-signed by Member 2, the appellate court panel held that the signature of the second judge appended on the tribunal's judgment document meant she consented to the lead judgment, adding that no law mandates the judge to write a separate opinion. On the second issue of jurisdiction, the appellate court held that although the law allows the tribunal to suspend decisions on preliminary objections until the end of the matter, the Osun Governorship Tribunal failed to show in writing that it considered Governor Adeleke's preliminary objection in its merit. Issue 3 bordered on certified true copies of documents, but the appeal court held that the documents paid for and certified for the use of the respondent, Mr. Oyetola, and the APC were validly obtained. On issue 4, the Court of Appeal faulted the tribunal for rejecting some of Governor Adeleke's exhibits, which consist of his certificates on the grounds of forgery, holding that the issue of forgery has been resolved and dismissed by a superior court. They said the tribunal is obliged to take cognizance of the judgment that exonerated him of forgery. On issues 5 and 7, which borders on overvoting, the appeal court held that the respondents failed to prove their allegation of overvoting. It held that the tribunal was wrong to have relied only on the table showing overvoting provided by Mr. Oyetola and the APC, without giving due consideration to INEC's voter register. It faulted Mr. Oyetola and APC for relying only on the data from the back-end server, failing to look at the voters register, which forms the foundation of the whole electoral process, and as such cannot strengthen their allegations of overvoting. The respondents, according to the appeal court, failed to tender surrender the beavers machines or call witnesses and experts to testify on overvoting, noting that the expert witness called by the respondent is a member of the APC and a person interested in the case. On the issue of bias, the court held that although the tribunal's comment on the appellant Governor Adeleke's proclivity for dancing and particularly the Buga song is unwarranted and condemnable, it does not in any way prove bias against the appellant. Counsel to the APC, Abiodun Layonu, says his party will study the judgment and announce its next line of action.
Well, there are so many issues involved in this appeal. Some of the issues, a bit more of the issues we lost. Overall, we lost the appeal. But it's so interesting that we believe that as soon as we collect the various judgments, which are all more or less the same, by Monday we would study the judgment and then make our decision. But it's most likely because of the very interesting nature of the decisions made that the matter will not end here.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the PDP in Osun State, Dr. Adekunle Akindele, commended the judiciary for what he says is a right judgment.
We are happy today that eventually we are able to get justice. We have always believed that the justice given by the lower court is better described as a judicial abortion. What this means is justice, judicial miscarriage. The judgment today is in conformity with the expectation of our people. It has really confirmed that our governor, His Excellency, Governor Ademola Adeleke, actually and really won the July 16 election. At this junction, we expect the outgoing governor, former Governor Itola, to call the governor and congratulate him and equally advise him to bury the asset and join hands with our governor to move the state forward.
Counsel to INEC Henry Akunebu says the outcome of today's proceedings is both scholarly and in-depth.
All of you have seen what happened today. This is a case of Daniel that has come to judgment. Of course, the judgment today manifests not only justice, but the scholastic content of the judgment is certainly going to be edifying, because certainly the legal profession is richer for the judgment delivered today. The innovative and revolutionary provisions of the Electoral Act have received judicial adjudication today by the judgment as delivered today. The innovations, or rather revolutionary innovations in the Electoral Act have received judicial determination today by the judgment delivered. Section 137 of the Electoral Act have received judicial determination today. Today, the legal profession is richer by this judgment as delivered, because it's going to be a beacon guide that will illuminate the path in the election petition tribunals that are now ongoing. Thank you very much.
PDP counsel Nathaniel Oke also said the judgment given by the Court of Appeal was a step in the right direction.
Virtually all the parties in respect of this appeal from the lower tribunal's judgment. Then the respondents equally cross-appeal. But judgment has been delivered in respect of all the appeals before this Court of Appeal this afternoon. They allowed all the appeals filed by the governor-elect, Senator Ademola Adeleke. He won his appeal. The PDP as a political party won his appeal. INEC as an appellant before this Court of Appeal won the appeal. So the totality of the appeal presented before the Court of Appeal herein have succeeded, and the court has affirmed that Senator Ademola Adeleke remains the governor of Osun State. They have the right to appeal to the Supreme Court, but as at this afternoon that I'm talking to you, the press, gentlemen of the press, the position is that Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke remains the valid governor of Osun State until they get to the Supreme Court, and we strongly believe that at the end of the day, we are going to record final and conclusive victory before the Supreme Court.
The court also awarded the sum of 500,000 naira against the APC and its candidate Gboyega Oyetola. Further legal options are available to Mr. Oyetola and the APC. It remains to be seen if this option will be explored. Emmanuel Ujadigele, Western Spring Television News.
Meanwhile, Governor Ademola Adeleke has expressed happiness following the ruling of the appeal court, which affirmed his victory in the July 16, 2022 gubernatorial election in Osun State. Olayinka Ali was in Ede, where the governor gave his first reaction to the judgment.
Of appeal sitting in Abuja earlier today upheld the election of the governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke. Justice Mohammed Lawal Shahibu-led panel, while delivering its judgment today in Abuja, said the 2022 election petition tribunal erred in law by basing its verdict on overvoting on the table solely presented by the petitioners, stating the petitioners did not prove their cases on overvoting. In his reaction, Senator Ademola Adeleke expressed his happiness in the fair judgment, stating that he was confident because he knew that he won the July 16th gubernatorial election.
See, I depend on God. I don't have any doubt because of what we believe in. Because we have decided that democracy is here to stay in Nigeria. And of course, I knew already that the judgment was miscarriage of justice, and I have that notion and belief that the appeal court will do justice to that, and that was what has happened today.
The governor has assured the residents of Osun State of good governance and quality representation, like he has been doing since his assumption in office.
We still have a lot of pack for them. We still have a lot in stock for them to make sure that they enjoy the dividends of democracy.
The matriarch of the Adeleke family, Chief Mrs. Modupe Adeleke's son, similarly thanked the people of Osun for their support to the governor, while also urging them not to relent.
I want to use this medium to thank all the people of Osun State for their love, for standing by the Executive Governor of Osun State, His Excellency Senator Ademola Adeleke. They have supported him since July 16. They voted unanimously for him, and they stood by him since July 16 till date. I want to thank them so much for the love they have for him, and I want to also thank God Almighty, and I also thank the judiciary for bringing out the truth in the Court of Appeal today. Secretary to the State Government, Aliaji Teslim Igbalayi, stated that the PDP and the governor had a watertight case.
We don't have much reason than to thank Almighty Allah for giving us this victory. It's not by our power, it's not by our might, it's not by our money, it's not by our wisdom, but it's just the grace of God we are enjoying for this victory. So, by and large, we thank Almighty Allah for giving us this victory because the people have spoken. The proverb in Yoruba that the voice of people is the voice of God. So the God has spoken already since last year. Now the judiciary has, the appeal court has spoken. So we thank Almighty Allah for giving us this victory.
Following the judgment, party stalwarts and faithful as well as well-wishers have been trooping into the governor's residence to congratulate him. Olayinka Ali, Western Spring Television News.
Well-wishers trooped in and out of Governor Ademola Adeleke's residence in Ede yesterday following the appeal court ruling that upheld the election of Governor Adeleke. The Justice Mohammed Lawal Shaibu-led panel, while delivering its judgment yesterday, said the 2022 Election Petitions Tribunal erred in law by basing its verdict on overvoting on the table solely presented by the petitioner, stating the petitioners did not prove their case on overvoting. The House of Representatives elect for Ilaha Boluwaduro and Olorunda Irepo-Durun Orulu Federal Constituency, Honorable Clement Olonwa and Honorable Maruf Adewale both stated that they are overwhelmed because the ruling shows Governor Adeleke's mandate has come to stay.
Look at the joyous mood you met our people here. So it confirmed that the free mandate given to Senator Nuruddin Ademola Adeleke in the last July 16 election. So it has come to pass. The true testimony has been garnered today through the court judgment, the appeal court judgment that affirmed that Senator Nuruddin Ademola Adeleke Jackson is the duly elected governor of Osun State. And we want to appreciate the 3 judges for setting aside the tribunal judgment, which we believe that they robbed the people of Osun State. And here we are today, so we are celebrating, rejoicing, and we are praising God for giving us our mandate back.
The judge from the first tribunal was a ruse. Everybody knows it was a ruse, and we had expected that this one will come, and it has come by the special grace of God. It can't be faulted in any way.
I'm very happy. Glory be to God. We win.
The wish of the people finally is allowed to stay. People also are happy today because they have talked, they have confirmed their talk several times, and we have to thank God that God has confirmed the stay of our Imole governor.
In the meantime, the Delta North senatorial candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Peter Nwabushi, has filed a petition before the Election Petitions Tribunal challenging the victory of Ned Nwoko of the People's Democratic Party. Mr. Nwoko was declared the winner by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, after polling 98,514 votes to defeat his closest rival, Ken Kanama of the Labour Party, with 86,121 votes, while Mr. Nwabushi polled 36,816 votes. However, Mr. Nwabushi, who is currently in prison following his conviction for fraud, filed the petition challenging the outcome of the senatorial election. The State Publicity Secretary of the APC, Mr. Valentine Onojejihu, disclosed this yesterday in Asaba while speaking on the moves by the party to reclaim their mandate. Meanwhile, the National and State Assembly Elections Petitions Tribunal sitting in Asaba Delta State says it has received 25 petitions from 8 senatorial and 17 House of Representatives candidates. In other news, former Senate President Pius Ayim has described the action of the People's Democratic Party PDP National Working Committee to suspend as disappointing in the wake of the party's loss at last month's presidential election. The PDP had on Thursday suspended Ayim and other prominent leaders, such as former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose, Professor Dennis Itavayo, and Aslam Aliyu. But Mr. Ayim, in a statement yesterday, defended his support for the All Progressive Congress APC governorship candidate in Ebonyi State, Francis Nwifuru, who went on to defeat the PDP's Ifeanyi Odi. He said it was difficult to explain why the NWC is in a hurry to suspend leaders of the party without recourse to fair hearing, without which their action is null and void. Mr. Ayim claimed that the Iyocha Ayu-led NWC imposed a candidate from the sitting governor's zone, contrary to the zoning formula of the state. He added that every effort to let the NWC see reasons fell on deaf ears. Despite winning last Saturday's governorship election, the All Progressive Congress APC in Kaduna State has alleged that the People's Democratic Party PDP rigged the election in about 7 local government areas of the state where it won. This comes barely 24 hours after PDP members in the state on Thursday held a protest to demand the declaration of their candidate Issa Ashiru as the rightful winner of the March 18 governorship election held in the state. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared the APC candidate, Senator Ubasani, the winner of the poll, having polled 730,002 votes, while his closest rival, Ashiru, got 719,196 votes. However, the State Secretary of the APC, Yahaya Patey, at a press conference yesterday, vowed to challenge the electoral fraud in court allegedly committed by the PDP. Reviewing the outcome of the election, he alleged that APC members and supporters were harassed and intimidated by PDP thugs on the day of the election, thereby paving the way for mutilation of results where the PDP knew it was going to lose. Meanwhile, in Adamawa, the All Progressive Congress APC governorship candidate Aishatu Ahmed has expressed support for the declaration of the governorship election in the state as inconclusive. The state coalition officer of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmudu Mele, had declared the election inconclusive due to the margin of votes. The candidate, popularly known as Binani, during a news chat yesterday, welcomed the decision, alleging that violence and irregularities were recorded in 16 of the 21 local government areas in the state. She noted that whoever saw or monitored the election in the state knows that the election was marred with violence, rigging, overvoting, and all manner of irregularities. According to her, several of the bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS devices were bypassed, allowing for overvoting and intimidation of electoral staff in a number of locations. The incumbent governor, Amadou Fintiri, and the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, polled 421,524 votes to lead Ms. Ahmed, who scored 390,275 votes with 31,249 votes, while the total number of PVCs collected in places where elections were not held amounted to 37,016. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us.
The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ab initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups and the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Spring Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history.
Thank you for being with us. You're welcome back. Moving on, the Lagos state government says a case of involuntary manslaughter in addition to reckless and negligent acts has been established against Chrisland School, some members of staff and a vendor in the death of a student, Whitney Adeniran. The Office of the Director, Public Affairs, Lagos State Ministry of Justice discussed this in a statement yesterday, stating that the suspects will be charged with the offense contrary to Section 224 and 251 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. Ms. Adeniran was said to have slumped during her school's inter-house sport on February 9th. After an autopsy, it was revealed that the 12-year-old died from asphyxia and electrocution. Following the controversial circumstances surrounding the student's death, the state government ordered a coroner's inquest into the matter to ascertain the cause of death. Still in Lagos, the state government is set to charge the driver of the staff bus involved in a collision with a train, Oluwaseun Osinbajo, with manslaughter. The collision occurred on March 9th at the PWD railway crossing in Ikeja, the state capital. The incident, which left 6 persons dead and 96 others injured. Osinbajo was immediately apprehended and handed over to the police for investigation and possible prosecution by the state. According to a statement issued by the Director of Public Affairs, Lagos State Ministry of Justice, at the end of investigations, the findings were forwarded to the Directorate of Public Prosecutions for further statutory actions. Upon the receipt and review of the case filed by the DPP, a prima facie case of manslaughter and grievous body harm was disclosed against the driver of the staff bus. Accordingly, he is to be charged with 6 counts of manslaughter and 10 counts of grievous body harm. Both offences are contrary to Section 224 and 245 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. Talking business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has confirmed the evacuation of banknotes from its vaults to commercial banks across the country. The CBN has also directed all commercial banks to open for operation on Saturdays and Sundays. In a press statement, the Acting Director, Corporate Communications Department of the CBN, Dr. Issa Abdul Mumin, disclosed that a substantial amount of money in various denominations had been received by the commercial banks for onward circulation to their respective customers. According to him, the CBN had directed all banks to load their automated teller machines as well as conduct physical operations in the banking halls through the weekend. He further urged Nigerians to be patient as the current situation will ease soon with the injection of more banknotes into circulation. To news outside Nigeria, a large asteroid will safely zoom between Earth and the Moon today, a once-in-a-decade event that will be used as a training exercise for planetary defense efforts. According to the European Space Agency, the asteroid named 2023 DZ2 is estimated to be 40 to 70 meters wide, roughly the size of a Parthenon, and big enough to wipe out a large city if it hits the planet. The head of the ESAS Planetary Defense Office, Richard Moisel, said the asteroid will about 1949 GMT this evening come within a third of the distance from the Earth to the Moon. Mr. Moisel, in an interview, noted that though the asteroid will come very close, there is nothing to worry about. The asteroid will pass 109,000 miles from Earth at a speed of 28 kilometers per hour. And in Europe, Air Force commanders from Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Denmark have said they have signed a letter of intent to create a unified Nordic air defense aimed at countering the rising threat from Russia. The intention is to be able to operate jointly based on already known ways of operating under NATO, according to statements by the four countries' armed forces yesterday. According to the commander of the Danish Air Force, Major General Jan Dam, the move to integrate the air forces was triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February last year. General Dam further stated that their combined fleet can be compared to a large European country. The signing of the Ramstein Air Base in Germany last week was attended by NATO Air Commander Chief General James Hecker, who also oversees the U.S. Air Force in the region. Talking sports, Kylian Mbappe scored his first goal as France captain as the World Cup finalists began their Euro 2024 qualifying campaign with a comfortable win against the Netherlands. The hosts were ahead after just 2 minutes when Antoine Griezmann coiled in from Mbappe's cross. Defender Dayot Upamecano made it 6 minutes later as he bundled in. Mbappe then got his 37th goal for France when he drove in before powering home his second late on. The Paris Saint-Germain striker's second 2 minutes from time was a stunning solo effort as he left the Dutch players falling over in an attempt to block his shot before thumping a finish into the bottom corner. Memphis Depay had the chance of a consolation deep in stoppage time for the visitors, but his penalty was saved. Before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has dismissed an appeal by the People's Democratic Party seeking the disqualification of the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, and his vice, Kashim Shettima, in the February 25th election. The All Progressive Congress, APC, in Kaduna State alleges that the People's Democratic Party, PDP, rigged the governorship election in about 7 local government areas of the state where it won. On the foreign scene, a large asteroid will safely zoom between Earth and the Moon today, a once-in-a-decade event that will be used as a training exercise for planetary defense efforts. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am Tunde Ido. Good evening.